Okay, Horace is ready. Okay, our next guest is going to be Horace Cooper. He's an adjunct fellow with the National Center for Public Policy Research. He's co-chairman of the Project 21 National Advisory Board and a legal commentator. Horace taught constitutional law at George Mason University in Virginia and was general counsel to U.S. House Majority Leader Dick Armey. Horace, how are you?
Hey, great. Thanks for having me on your show today.
No, I'm glad that you could be on, that you can share some of your experience. What I wanted to talk to you about today, Horace, was about the upcoming Comey testimony before the Senate Intelligence Committee this Thursday. You know, everyone is talking about acting like this is going to be like Ollie North or, you know, some of the Watergate hearings. How big do you think this testimony is going to be? Are we going to learn anything?
Well, how big will it be? I think a lot of attention is going to be played to it. Will we learn anything? I think the answer is not much. And part of the reason is there were a number of times that former Director Comey appeared under oath before the House of Representatives and the United States Senate, and he was asked the questions that are very similar to the ones that he'll be asked this week. The only difference is, at the time, we did not know that he had told a friend that he had had some pushback against the investigation of National Security Advisor Flynn and the overall Russia investigation by President Trump, and that he had memorialized these communications from the administration in memos. What we do know is he was flatly asked under oath, had he been placed under any pressure whatsoever with regard to these investigations, and his answer was no. What we also know is that he had an oath as an officer of the court and a law enforcement officer if, in fact, anyone had attempted to in some way unlawfully interfere with a criminal investigation, he had an oath to immediately report that and take action with regard to that, and that he did not do that. So when you get past that, we also know that the president, there is no evidence of any kind that the president of the United States is himself a target or a subject of any criminal investigation or of any national security investigation. What then is left?
Exactly. And, you know, what if Comey made the suggestion, hey, you know, during the presidential campaign, people were accusing me of getting involved in that and basically choosing a president. And the reason why I didn't say anything, that I felt that I was being intimidated because I didn't want charges that I'm trying to take down the president and being involved in the political process once again. But what I'm saying is legitimate.
I deserve to be fired because when I was called critically to do my duty, I said under oath that the very thing that I'm telling you now happened didn't happen. I deserve to be fired. I actually may be I may be subject to an investigation of my own that I kept quiet what I thought of as a criminal act and did nothing, took no action. Now, you just can't have it both ways. The media really tries hard to pretend that there's some space here, that you can have two things be true at the same time. It can be Monday and it can be Thursday. No, it cannot.
One of the questions that's been bandied about is the Trump administration may claim executive privilege from against Comey to keep him from testifying. One, why would they do that? It seemed like it would be the worst PR move in the world. And one thing that I've been hearing is that if they try to exert executive privilege, that the president doesn't really have a strong case.
All right. So there's been this discussion of whether or not the president has waived executive privilege, the right of the administration to keep communications within itself private from those who do not have a legitimate and heightened need to overcome that burden to have access to it. Executive privilege is not absolute, but it does rise to a very, very high level. There's been this conversation as to whether or not the president has waived executive privilege, and executive privilege is not the same as the privilege against self-incrimination. Typically, when you're dealing with self-incrimination in the Fifth Amendment context, if you publicly make statements that allow people to get information about a pending legal question involving yourself, you're not allowed to issue those statements and then say, but I have nothing else to say. You either say, I will have nothing to say, or I will say everything, no intermediate. There is no such test like that with executive privilege, and so I've enjoyed listening to so-called commentators pretend that this is the way executive privilege would work. So let's just take that to the side.
Okay.
The other part, though, is under what reason would the president be interested in exercising executive privilege, whether he has, quote, waived it or not? The only information that is relevant here is whether or not Mr. Comey is prepared to say that any communications he had with the president rose to the level of criminal obstruction. And in fact, it's useful for the administration to let Mr. Comey admit under oath that nothing that was said to him rose to the level of criminal obstruction. If executive privilege were asserted here, Mr. Comey likely wouldn't be able to give the answer to that question.
I've got a question for you. Usually what we've seen historically in these type of investigations that kind of turn into fishing expeditions, during Iran-Contra, we had someone go to jail. Scooter Libby went to jail, during the Bush administration for a special counsel investigation. If you had to put some money down today, and what we know, would you say that there is anybody wrapped up within this investigation that could possibly be heading to the Great Bar Hotel?
Okay, so first of all, there are all clear indications that at least one felony or maybe multiple versions of the same felony occurred. And that involved the unmasking of General Flynn's communications. That was unlawful because it was transmitted to journalists who were not given security clearances. And there had been no specific authorization for this unmasking transfer to occur. We absolutely know that that was a crime, and it is possible that we're likely to see, as this investigation develops, that there will be some action that could ultimately lead to an indictment.
Go ahead.
Yes.
No, I was saying, wouldn't you think that that General Mike Flynn is in great peril? I mean, he's asking for what's the word I'm looking for? Immunity. I want to say immunization, but that's for your babies. But he's asking for immunity. He's had stuff that he didn't disclose in his forms to be had part of the government. I mean, is he the one that if there has to be a scapegoat, it may be him?
So that's a much harder case to prove. It is the case that, again, and by the way, we don't know this because we're civilians. It is the case that it is alleged that when he submitted his reports documenting the activities that he had engaged in to both maintain his intelligence clearance and to be investigated for his new position as NSA, didn't include every activity. And it's also the case that it is reported that he received outside income, and that outside income, for certain, again, I say for certain, I mean the reports are that for certain it happened during the time he was a campaign advisor, and there is some allegation that it may have continued even after he took on his role as a government employee. Couple things there. One is, as a government employee, you're not required to say to public, private, or anyone that work you've done in the past that you've yet to be paid for, that you cannot receive compensation for. Mere compensation that you receive while you're a government employee for work you did before you were a government employee is not a crime, is not illegal, is not unlawful, and in Washington, D.C., it's not even unusual. Now, it is completely not unlawful to be a campaign advisor, whether it's to the president, a senator, or to a mayor, while also engaging in outside activities, even if those outside activities involve work for foreign governments. So you've got a much harder case when you're talking about General Flynn. But to your broader question about will we see indictments come down, the real question for me is going to be, is a grand jury impaneled? If no grand jury is impaneled, almost without a doubt, there will be no indictments of any kind. When Hillary Clinton was being investigated, no grand jury was impaneled until late in 2016, after all manner of informational exchanges between targets, between parties that were being investigated, between high-profile witnesses, had all had a chance to occur, and that likely would have meant it was nearly impossible to get a conviction.
Got it.
I'll give you an easy example of this.
Quickly, because we're about running out of time, and this is great stuff. I love it.
If you have a meeting with an FBI agent and you give answers, he takes those answers down to the best of his ability. It's okay to dispute what he has taken down, especially if you can demonstrate that he did so inaccurately. But if you go before a grand jury, you can be held liable, feloniously liable, for any statements you make, even if you think they are inadvertent. That's the risk factor. It's heightened with a grand jury, and it's all but dissipated without one.
Horace, great stuff. Hey, tell our audience where they could read some of your stuff or hear you.
All right, check us out at www.nationalcenter.org, and you can also tweet at us at Project 21.
Horace, I really appreciate your time, and I'm proud to be a Project 21 member with you, my friend.
Thank you, sir, and enjoy coming on today.
Great. Have a great week. And when we come back, we're going to have Jason Riley, a commentator with Fox News and Wall Street Journal and Manhattan Institute scholar.
This is the Mark Cox Show. Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling. Weather with Dave Murray.
Partly sunny skies with us on this Monday. Still warm, still a little bit humid across the region, 88 degrees. Tonight, clear and cool. Beautiful night on the way. The moon turning full later in the week. 59 degrees for the low. And on Tuesday, sunny, nice and comfortable, 78. Same story on Wednesday. Wednesday's high near 80. I'm Fox 2 meteorologist Dave Murray for FM News Talk 97.1.
I love this time of year. I know that you do just as well as me. But if you're an allergy sufferer, and I'm allergic to a lot of things, you hope to find comfort when you're indoors. That's not always the case. Because if you don't have the proper kind of filter on your furnace, for example, your air conditioner, it just circulates the allergens. That's why the maids are so important in my family. They come in during allergy season, and they use HEPA filtration vacuum cleaners. Those don't just blow the dust around. They eliminate allergens and dust mites and all of that stuff, pet dander from your house. They will get down on their hands and knees and clean the baseboards. They clean doorknobs. They clean the handles on the cabinets, the top of the refrigerator, anywhere these allergens can rest and then get blown around later to affect you like they affect me. That's where the maids clean. They clean top to bottom. Make life easier on yourself. Take the stress off and let the maids take care of it, because for a deep clean, it takes a team, and they bring a team of 4 to your house. Call them, see how they can help you, 1-800-THE-MAIDS, or their website is maids.com.
Hi, David Fox here, proud founder of 2 St. Louis companies I started over 23 years ago, Carpet Masters and Hardwood Rescue. If you have hardwood floors that need to be refinished or repaired, look us up online at hardwoodrescue.com. We're proud members of the BBB and maintain an A+ rating. Allow us to make your floors look brand new again at truly affordable prices. At Hardwood Rescue, we offer free estimates and evaluations. We are ready when you are at hardwoodrescue.com. That's hardwoodrescue.com.
Hey, would you buy a house without looking inside? Well, of course not. Well, shouldn't you be just as diligent when choosing a financial advisor? Hey, it's Sean Hannity here, and just as a house is more than four walls, well, a financial advisor is more than just a nice office. Now, what's their background? Do they work in your best interest as a fiduciary? What's their financial specialty? Now, you want to know all these things because the chances are over your lifetime, you're going to trust them with far more than the value of your home because knowledge and experience count for a lot in retirement income planning. Here in St. Louis, you need to know Ken and Lori Heisey and the team at the Heisey Advisory Group. Call them now at 314-328-6000. That's 314-328-6000. Don't be cavalier with your financial assets. Heisey Advisory Group, 314-328-6000.
Investment advisory services offered through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Heisey Advisory Group are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
You're seeing it on social media? Real estate agents are yelling it from practically every rooftop. And it's true. Buyers can't find homes. And if you're a seller, that's great news for you. Home inventory right now is extremely low. I'm Christina Straight, and I'm the owner of Straight Realty, and I'll get your home listed on the MLS for only 4%. Listing for 4% doesn't make you cheap, it just makes you smart. Why pay more than 4? Call 314-441-4444, 441-4444.
Hi, I'm Ryan Kelly. These days, everyone's claiming to be an expert, but there's only one home loan expert. There's only one mortgage lender that you call when you want the lowest rate on the best loan with customer service that no one can match. Refinancing or buying a home? Why would you go anywhere else? Let the real experts go to work for you. Apply online today at thehomeloanexpert.com. Missouri, Illinois, Tennessee, Indiana residential mortgage licensee. The Home Loan Expert, LLC.
Now open ENT Now. You need same-day care for ear, nose, or throat conditions? Well, the ENT specialists at Sound Healthcare Services are here for you at 12 convenient locations around the metro area and now at ENT Now, a new walk-in clinic at Manchester and 270 right there in De Pere Square. No appointments necessary. Open 7 to 7 Monday to Friday and Saturdays 8 to 1. Walk in or call for a time, 729-0077, or check it out at soundhealthservices.com. ENT Care, just minutes away.
Jamie Ullman in the morning.
Yesterday was a great day for the American worker in the United States of America.
I was elected to represent the citizens of Pittsburgh, not Paris.
On FM News Talk
97.1. To The Mark Cox Show. Follow the show on Facebook. Facebook.com/The Mark Cox Show.
To know what I have in mind, honey, you ought to know.
Trump again tweeting and talking about this publicly. And that has been a problem in these court cases that have come up so far. The judges have been throwing his words back at him, saying they speak to a state of mind here. And I think that, again, he has to be more disciplined in how he talks about this issue.
That's Jason Riley, and I'm Chris Arps, and I'm substituting for Mark Cox today. He will be back in tomorrow. Let me give you our phone numbers. They're 314-969-9797. Travis, I haven't forgotten about you. We will get to you. The toll-free number is 866-455-9797. And our next guest will be Jason Riley. Some of you have seen him on Fox News. He was actually on Fox News yesterday, and we're still having a little trouble getting him on. So I'm going to take a call from one of our callers that said Trump is divisive. Hello, Travis.
Hey, I'm a conservative, but I think what Trump needs right now is like a Ben Rhodes. And that's the guy that pretty much wrote all of Trump's, or not Trump's, Barack Obama's, campaign speech and stuff like that.
So you think it's a messaging problem with
Yeah, I mean,
the president?
This guy works for the NSA. He was NSA Department of Communications, pretty much, and he started out as Barack Obama's campaign speech writer, and then wound up in the NSA. And pretty much what he did is he intercepted all the information that came out prior to even Obama hearing about it, and prior to even Obama acting on it. He would leak the information to different sources, putting his narrative and spin on it, and then he would send it out to certain, he would control how the message got out to people. And, pretty much everything that you've ever read or heard come through the liberal media has come through him.
Well, that's an interesting thought. The only thing is, because the president, has his cell phone and has a Twitter account, even no matter how good a person you got at messaging, unfortunately, we've seen the president just kind of stepped over the message. Travis, I want to thank you for calling. I want to get to our guest, Jason Riley.
No problem.
Hello, Jason. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
No problem. I'm very glad that we could have you on today. I'm proud to be a member with you on a Black conservative listserv. Saw you yesterday on Fox News, and like I said, we're glad to have you on today. And you're always welcome as a Mark Cox guest.
Thank you.
Let me give you the folks out there your bio. I'm sure everyone knows, but Jason Riley is a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute, a columnist for the Wall Street Journal, and a commentator for Fox News. After joining the Journal in '94, he was named a senior editorial writer in 2000 and a member of the editorial board in 2005. Riley is the author of Please Stop Helping Us: How Liberals Make It Harder for Blacks to Succeed, which discusses the track record of government efforts to help the black underclass. And again, I want to thank you for coming in. What I want to talk to you about is a little bit what you discussed yesterday on Fox News was the Trump administration and some of the what happened with the terror attacks. And I know you said yesterday that the president's so-called travel ban from some of these 6 Muslim countries, that you may have felt that may not do any good. Can you expound on that just a little more?
Well, I think the problem when you talk to Homeland Security officials here in the U.S., they tell you that their biggest concern are the homegrown threats, people already here becoming radicalized, or even if they travel abroad, they're people with U.S. passports that can come back. And that's their biggest concern. And I think what we've seen happen in Europe, particularly in Britain, and with the Manchester attack and then this one, is that phenomenon. You're finding, the bomber in Manchester was born in Manchester and raised in Manchester. And so I'm not sure that the travel ban that Trump is describing and wants to implement would get at that problem. But that's separate and aside from whether I think the courts have made the right decision in telling President Trump that he can't impose a travel ban. I think they're wrong on that front. I think under the Constitution, the president has very broad authority and is well within his rights to do this. But again, I think that's separate from whether I think it would be effective in stopping the kinds of attacks that London just experienced.
Tell me this, and this is what I'm not grasping, and I haven't heard a lot of legal scholars talk about this, but can the court, which they've been doing, make decisions on the president's past remarks during the campaign and his state of mind? Aren't they supposed to interpret just what the law says instead of trying to, take his past comments and try to interpret those into what he's trying to do?
I would agree. That's my understanding. And the legal scholars I've read on the left and right, I think, are both troubled by what the courts are doing here and taking into account past statements. But they are taking them into account. And going forward, Trump doesn't seem to be taking this to heart because he continues to say things that I think could later be thrown back in his face by the courts, as they already have been. So, but I agree with you that this is a very slippery slope, taking into account past comments when trying to discuss something, the legality of something.
In Theresa May's statements yesterday, that she was saying that There's going to be some embarrassing conversations that need to be said. And she also was saying that governments need to step up their social media and some of our modern communications. How do we do that without infringing upon our constitutional rights? And how far are you willing to go to infringe upon the Constitution to keep us safe?
Well, I think Theresa May makes a good point, and it's a point that I think can be taken to heart, or should be taken to heart, more broadly in places other than just the UK, the continent in general, Germany, France, Italy. The assimilation model that we have in the U.S. and how effective it has been and how well it has served us for so long, we often take for granted. But Europe does not have that. That is the immigrants, the migrants, the refugees, whomever, moving into Europe do not assimilate as rapidly or as readily as people do coming to the United States. They have a great deal of difficulty getting people to mix in, to meld in. In France, you're either French or you're not. In Germany, you're either German or you're not. Italy is the same way. In the U.S., people come here and with a whole different mentality, and we expect them to have a whole different mentality. It's not about cultural artifacts and that sort of thing. It's about shared ideals, and that's what. So the assimilation model that the U.S. has is not something we should take for granted. And I think Theresa May is getting it that they have to do a better job of assimilating these Muslim populations that they have. They just have to. If these people are going to live in the same country side by side, they have to make them feel welcome. And the fact of the matter is, I think she's acknowledged Britain just hasn't done a very good job of that over the years, and it comes back to haunt them at times like this.
Yeah, and we've seen that time and time again in France, in Belgium, in Germany. There was one other topic I wanted to get to, but we didn't get a chance to it. But I hopefully we can have you on again. One, I want to talk about your book, Please Stop Helping Us: How Liberals Make It Harder for Blacks to Succeed. And I wanted to talk about how you got a badge of honor that you were disinvited to the Virginia Tech. So that's a badge of honor for most conservatives. Mr. Riley, you've made it.
Well, I'd be happy to come back and talk about that at some future day.
Okay, thank you, Jason. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. And that does it for the first hour of the Mark Cox Show. Chris Arps, I made it. We'll be back next hour with some pretty good guests, Lance Archbold, and someone else I'll tell you. Thank you. Have a great day.
This hour of the Mark Cox Show brought to you by Naputi Wellness, NaputiWellnessCenter.com.
Maybe you've walked outside and you've heard your air conditioner compressor kick on, and you're happy about that because you know it's cooling your house down to the temperature that you've decided it needs to be. But what about when it stops running? Or what if it's not running as efficiently as it could? Are you worried about your bills when you get your electric bill every month? Agers HVAC is the place you need to go to get the answers. If you're interested in upgrading your current furnace or air conditioner, Brian Agers tells me he can give you up to $1,700 in Lennox rebates on qualifying systems right now. Here's what they've got out there. They've got allergy filtration systems they can put in your house. They've got new equipment that's so efficient most homeowners can see up to a 40% reduction